All right, welcome back to another episode of CRE, The Unspoken Truth. This one is a fun one, a different one, a special one. No Craig. We got Sam in place, Sam Absalom. Sam has been one of our top sales guys, he is our top sales guy since we started the company. And I say this about Sam, when we started the company, we actually started it out of Craig's home office. And it was me, it was Craig, and it was Sam. And so he's been with us from the very beginning, and he's got a very unique perspective to share. And we're going to dive in the topic today from Sam's perspective, what makes a great broker. And so frame it for us, Sam. You've never been a broker, but you've talked to a million of them, right? Give us the numbers.
Yeah, so I'll start by saying this, Charlie. I have a unique perspective, and by no means am I even close to saying I'm a broker. Along with that, I've never been also a client of a broker as well. But that being said, I've talked with brokers every single day for the last 4 years. In fact, I would say this. I'd be hard pressed to find somebody in the United States who's talked to more commercial real estate brokers than me across the last 4 years. Here are my stats. I just went back and pulled it from all our tracking. I've had 5,000 cold calls alone with brokers. I didn't include any follow-up phone calls. Along with that, I've had 2,500 meetings on these Zoom calls with the brokers as well. So it's been a hell of a lot of time spent one-on-one with these brokers across the US.
2,500 meetings over the last, what, 3 years?
Three and a half, technically, that's right.
3.5 years. I don't know what the numbers are, but that's a lot. I sit by you, so I know
Yeah,
it's several a day for years.
easily.
Yeah, and so you've talked to a lot of brokers. I'd be curious, what makes, from your perspective, selling software, talking to these
Yeah.
brokers, what makes someone impressive to you?
Yeah, well, bearing in mind, obviously, I'm on the other end of the spectrum, right? Rather than these brokers trying to impress me, I'm trying to impress them. But I'm still seeing a really unique perspective of these brokers who tend to be the higher producers, tend to have these qualities that I've seen more common, at least more commonly amongst these guys. The first one I've noticed, and this is for just, I think, any salesperson in general, but especially brokers, is the best brokers always seem to be the best communicators. So when I talk to high producers, they never hang up the phone. They never just slam it within the first 5, 10 seconds. They're just really concise and they're really quick and they make up their mind really quickly, Charlie. So I go as far as say it's that there's guys who can say yes and can say no equally quickly and can recognize what's worth their time.
Yeah.
And it's these guys who I know it's the easiest to meet with because we jump on a Zoom call rather than say spending half an hour, 45 minutes on a Zoom call. It tends to be a 15 or 20-minute conversation where it's concise, it's to the point, it's what do you need? Can you provide a solution for you, etc. And I find that is those brokers, first and foremost, the ones who are good communicators of what they care about, are the ones that tend to be the most successful.
Is there a point in the communication? You say you have a bunch of cold calls and meetings. What's like the earliest point? And you may not know, it may take a while, but is there an early point in a conversation or a relationship where you're like, that person's got it?
Yeah, 100%. We always say, hey, they're dialed. And I'd say they're dialed when typically it's the initial phone call. And it's me explaining, hey, here's what we do, mate. Or does it interest you? And they're really quick to ask a good question or two. I'd say it depends on the level of their questions, on how good of a communicator they are, right? Because it
Yeah.
shows how quickly they're processing information and how well they can sift through it to understand if it's worth their time. And they ask a couple questions. They go, oh, those are good questions. They're really paying attention. And then they go, yep, I want a calendar invite. Let's go ahead and schedule it for next time. And they almost guide me through the sales process rather than me guiding them because they know how they want to buy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So go ahead.
say this, I'll give you one more example. Talking to so many brokers, what I've heard the most frequent complaint from brokers, or let's say regret, would be the words, I should have followed up with that guy. And so many brokers drop the ball simply coming down to a communication issue where they think, oh, there's a landlord who I was meant to follow up with, or a tenant in the marketplace who asked me to give him a call back after Christmas or whenever it was, and I just didn't do it. And what I've really seen is that these brokers who are the elite communicators, whether it's that through natural talent or just through better systems, they have really, really good communication skills to be able to follow up with people and do it at an appropriate time.
So you have a lot of good things in there. Number one, they're great communicators. Number two, they're polite, but they're like succinct, or what was the way you said it? They're
Yeah,
very direct in how they talk.
yeah, they
They're not
make up their
wasting
mind.
time.
They make up their mind quickly.
Yeah, they make their time. They make up their mind quickly. They ask great questions. That was another thing. So, how do like ask great questions? How do brokers like when you're talking to them on a meeting? What are those questions that you're like, oh, that guy gets it? Or is there anything that you're like, as you're talking to someone, where they say something where you're like, oh, this
Yeah,
guy is
yeah.
impressive the way he's thinking about this? How do
I'd
great
say,
brokers think through things like
yeah,
that?
I'd say it comes down to part of my job is recognizing that brokers don't sit down all day long and think about their systems. And part of my job is walking them through thinking about what's working, what's not working to understand if one source can fit in. And what I've seen is that the brokers who are most impressive come in with a good impression and a good pulse on their business. And therefore that drives relevant questions. So it's typically along the lines of, hey, what are you using? How effective is it for you? And I'm not pulling information out because they understand that sharing the appropriate amount of information is a net positive for both of us because it helps them get to the point quicker and helps me understand quicker if we can actually be evaluated for
Yeah.
these people or not.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree, right? In the meetings I lead, it's like, hey, and even on when I'm on the other side where I'm looking at software, hey, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Do you do it or not? Because
Mm,
we'll just make this fast, you know?
yeah, and it even leads to this as well. That I mean, another really key attribute I've seen um, brokers have who are successful is they do the hard things. And they do the boring things really well. And I think some of the most boring things you can do in any system, in any sales role is systems, right? And it's making sure you have good systems that warrant success. So we mentioned the follow-up example earlier. It's typically not brokers remembering from their memory to follow up with somebody. It's usually through a system they've in place. Some guys just shoot from the hip and they just throw it in Outlook or Excel and Notes or the reminders app, and sometimes that works. But for most guys, I've seen
Yeah.
it be more dialed in. The guys who tell me they don't drop balls, the guys who really have really good systems and they do those boring things really well. They log the call notes that are relevant, not all of them. They do the most important things like follow up and send thank you emails and stuff like that. I've seen really brokers stand out who do the boring things through systems really, really
Yeah.
well.
So that's something I wanted to talk on is give me like the top two or three from your perspective, the habits that brokers have with software, with systems, the top two
Mm,
or three that you see like, hey, they're dialed with their systems. You just said follow-ups. Like,
yeah.
give us the top two or three that you see.
Yeah. I'll share context, Charlie. Every time I meet with a call with a broker, so obviously almost 3,000 calls over the brokers, I always ask, what do you use and how effective is it for you? So I've got a really good understanding of what is working well for brokers and what's not. Um, Probably the most effective habit I've seen from brokers who use systems well is they have a single location for their most important relationships. And it's typically what I found is not your top 10, because the top 10 brokers know. It's the 11th through the 100th relationship, right? And that's the one where you make a lot of income for these brokers. It's a better way to track these people, any key interactions, and a really important part I just touched on 2 minutes ago, the follow-up is really key. If I've asked brokers, how do you remind yourself to follow up with folks? And they say, I've got it in my CRM, I know that they are absolutely dialed.
So how I know we talk about this internally. We call it intrinsic motivation. Other people
Yeah.
call it growth mindset. When you're talking to someone, how are you able to decipher if someone has the growth mindset or not?
I'd say it's how open they are to change. If I have a broker jump on a call and he's in his 60s and I say, hey, you've got a couple of years left, you're kind of cruising up into sunset, do you even want to change? They're pretty candid and say, no, I don't. It's the guy, and that's okay, that's understandable. But it's the guys who are really before that in their career, for the first 34 years of their career, it's just by me simply asking them, what are you using? How effective is it? And hey, does it even make sense to try and change this? And I'm actually constantly surprised by how many guys are just okay with bang average systems. And I would say if it wasn't for average systems and there's people performing in average levels, you wouldn't have the outstanding performance as well, the elite brokers who are the top 1% who have those really good systems, right? But I've seen that the brokers who have the good systems are the ones who are performing the best.
Yeah, yeah. you gave the example of someone in their 60s may not want to change. It made me think of one of our customers, Doug Twyman, who I don't know how old he is, but he's in his 60s probably,
Yeah.
and I mean he's open to change, man. Like he is
Yeah,
always trying to get
that's true.
better.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
trying to um, learn. Of course, that's super rare, right? That is
yeah.
not the common broker, especially the common person in their 60s or 70s or whatever. But
Hmm.
he's been very impressive to me on how much he's always trying to read. He's always, definitely has that growth mindset.
Yeah.
Are there any other people that come to mind when we talk about like, hey, great communicators, make
Yeah.
decisions fast? Like, who are the two or three,
Yeah.
people that come to mind on this topic?
Well, I'll say the
Give them a shout out.
most yeah, the shout out, the most recent name, this is recency bias, because I've been speaking to him a lot in the last couple of months, is Justin Langlaw with Sterling Properties in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's dialed and he frankly every attribute that I've mentioned on this call, he nails and over exceeds. And there's a lot of other guys I speak to as well who just stand out. Another one would be even Alex Affes with a Fire Realty as well, locally here in Phoenix. And Charlie, for those guys, what I think I've really seen it, the average teams come in and the way that they are separate and not as good as these elite teams is through also these elite teams have better ways of staying top of mind from brokers, right? And from their clients in the market. And what I've seen is whether it's a LinkedIn post, whether it's a casual text for their broker, whether it's marketing emails, these really good brokers, Justin's one of them, right? Is I'm just scrolling through LinkedIn and I see Justin's name pop up, or I see there's Rob Powell with Resolute in New Mexico. He does the same thing. He's always on LinkedIn, and it's just this air cover constantly that they put one post out, but hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there are getting little pushes and nudges to think of that person for that right time for their real estate needs.
Yeah. Yeah. So air cover, um, communication. I want to flip this a little bit and say, give me three things that when you hear this, a red flag goes up, right? Like if
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
saying all the great qualities, what are the bad qualities where you're like immediately, dang, this person's difficult to work with.
Well, I think the first thing is this, and it's almost the inverse of these top three, right?
Yeah,
And I don't want to make
exactly.
that's almost the easy way out. So I'll try and get more creative here. But the first one is just guys who don't respond. It's guys who are not good communicators, right? It's like I give a guy two or three times not responding. If they're not responding, I'm like, all right, fine, it's not worth my time, and frankly, not worth theirs as well. That they're giving me that communication by not responding. But also, if it's not just me who not responding to, right? I'm someone who's, let's say, low on the totem pole, but there's plenty of others as well who they're typically not responding to as well. And I've talked to a lot of brokers, frankly, who I've heard speak about other brokers in this way, saying, "Oh, this guy, I can never get a hold of him for this listing broker, or this buyer broker, I can never get a hold of him." And I think it's shocking that these professionals try and at least they're trying their best, but it's not effective. It's typically because their
Yeah.
system is letting them down. It's not typically because of lack of a desire.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we end up talking to people who have no showed us two or three times,
Yeah,
they end up,
they're
being
nice.
good. They're good
Yeah,
people, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just
Yes,
something dropped the ball, something let them
set
down. And
systems. Yeah.
yeah, um, I wrote a couple things down on red flags. You know, the person who is constantly bragging about the deals they're doing. That one is
Hmm.
kind of an interesting one. It's
Yeah,
totally fine to hear one crazy deal or one here, one there. But
yeah,
there's like people where you spend 20, 30 minutes talking to them and they've weaved in, eight humble brags and five different deals that they're working on. And it's like, okay, like we're not even,
yeah,
like what are we talking about?
yeah, yeah,
Um, I'd say the other one, like obviously not responding or not showing up, those are obvious. I think the one
yeah.
other one that I thought of too is someone who's just very indifferent, and you can
Hmm.
tell that's part of their personality is like
Yeah,
they're
yep,
just kind of a go through the motions a little bit.
yeah.
And unfortunately, like that may show its face on a software demo, but I guarantee it's showing its face in other areas of their
And it
business, you know.
was also this because these guys they're focused on something, right? And but they're typically so caught up in the inertia of just slinging deals and trying to
Yeah.
close the next deal they don't ever give themselves the time, and even I'm guilty of this sometimes as well, to take a step back and look at things at an overarching perspective and think, how can I improve these processes, work an extra 10 hours this week so that I can work 1 hour less each of the week of my remaining my career. And it's something brokers don't take that time and
Yeah.
put that effort in.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so wrap this up. I have a couple notes. You said good communicator, make decisions fast,
Hmm.
good systems, and they have a good pulse on their business so that they can ask intelligent questions. Anything I'm missing there?
And just the air cover as well, right? It's the LinkedIn post staying top of mind, but no, you nailed it. That's it.
The air cover. So this is all from our software perspective, right?
Perspective.
So take it with a grain of salt, but I will say, I echo what Sam said at the beginning. No one has talked to more brokers in the country over the last 3 years than Sam Absalom. And so, although we're talking to brokers in this niche about software generally and a little bit more around there, um, there are these typical habits and systems that we see, good, bad, and everything in between. So, anything else to wrap up?
It's this. It's that what I've seen is the role of AI in the future, and it's brokers trying to slap AI as a solution, right? Saying, hey, this is the easy button. I want AI to help solve it. And I'm just saying I'm really interested in it. Something that OneSource is really thinking about is how does AI fix specific problems in commercial real estate. Charlie, you and I have spoken about this so many times. And it's gonna be really interesting, I think, to see how AI plays a role in communications, in good systems, in air cover. All of these are going to be ways that brokers begin to compete with AI. It's going to be, I think, really interesting to see this landscape change over the next really 18 to 24 months.
I say this all the time. It's really interesting. We are building software which is on the forefront of change, and things are
Mhm.
changing so rapidly for commercial real estate brokers who are so local and relationship driven.
Yeah,
And because of that, they don't have to change as much. And so it's a relatively laggard industry, and we're trying to bridge the gap. And AI is forcing the issue. It's interesting. We're excited to be part of that. But will end with one thing too, Sam, and we say this every day in the office to you. Your brain, you have a systems brain. Like you think, you naturally say, how can I do this and spend an hour here to save me 10 minutes a day here? It is a unique ability of yours. And so you get a lot of credit and you operate that way. A lot of brokers aren't, right? A lot of brokers
yeah,
are great socially. They're not necessarily
yeah,
operational or systems
yeah.
thinkers. And so if I were to end this with a plug, talk to Sam. Talk to Sam about how you can leverage a system or a habit or a best practice from all the other brokers and pull that into your business. Sam's got a lot more ideas that he didn't even go through on this, but um,
That's
look,
it.
I
Everyone
love
has
it.
my cell phone. They can reach out to me. They
Yep.
have my cell.
We'll include his email on this post as well on the email. So reach out to him. But look, appreciate everyone for listening. Sam, appreciate you for filling in for Craig. Big shoes
There
to
you go.
fill. You did a great job. And thanks for sharing some of your perspective.
Cool. Thank you, Charlie.
All right. Bye.